Who hasn't heard the phrase opposites attract, yin and yang partnerships, and the sun and the moon duos? You get the idea. In the world of business, there are two types of entrepreneurs: those who usually dream big and those who roll up their sleeves and make those dreams a reality. You're smart, you're motivated, you want to do something big. You're on the verge of being a young boss, and we're going to help you get there. I'm your host, Isabel Garino, and welcome to the Young Boss Podcast, where youth is your power. Also known as the Visionary and the Integrator. This dynamic can be a solid backbone to any business. Understanding how each one of these entrepreneurial minds thinks is so important. You can assign the right tasks to the right partner, and then you can watch your business boom. Every integrator needs a visionary and vice versa. So let's learn a little bit about how these minds work and how they can come together to build something beautiful. All right, first let's dive into what these two entrepreneurial profiles are so we can know what we're working with. An integrator can simply be defined as the brains of the company. They're all about bringing people together and making sure that the team is tight-knit. They care about working as a group. They're cool, practical, and coordinated. A visionary loves exploring what is possible. They love to get everyone on their team excited and thinking creatively. They're all about taking smart risks and following their instincts. They always keep their eyes on the big picture and are into cool new ideas and thinking outside the box. Together with mutual respect and partnership, the integrator and the visionary combination could be a match made in heaven. If you don't live under a rock or at the bottom of the ocean, as SpongeBob and his friends do, right? Chances are that you've heard of visionary Steve Jobs. You know, Jobs was the visionary behind Apple, the iPhone. You know, we all know the story, right? And if you know the story, you know that Steve Jobs didn't do this alone. He had help, and that help came in the form of Steve Wozniak. Those two worked in tandem to build Apple into the company it is today. Too many Steves in one C-suite, if you ask me. But those two Steves partnered with each other really well as integrator and visionary. When I first started in our current business, I was the integrator and I was working under my father as the visionary. As he passed and things changed, I had to kind of step into that visionary role. That's not often done. Typically, you kind of are one or the other. I'll show you how you find out who you are. But for me, it kind of worked with my personality because some people do have that hybrid skill of being able to do one or the other. When I was an integrator, I loved being able to be cast a vision, right? Just spit out ideas, spit out what you're thinking, and go behind the scenes and say, this is what it's going to take to get it done. This is who's going to be involved, the cost, the time frame. These are the other things we're going to have to drop to make this happen. And then come back to the visionary and say, is this what you want? Is this what you're looking for? And we could poke holes and figure it out until we decided if that was the right move to make or not. Now that I've swapped and I'm in that visionary role, it's a lot of fun to work with Katie, my integrator, to have her go through the, role to say, okay, what do you want? How are we going to get there? This is what you're going to give up to get there. This is what it's going to cost. And I get to look at her and say, yay or nay. Every great concept or successful business will have an integrator who made it happen. Integrators are practical minds. They're organized, detail-oriented, and they're good at executing plans. They love structure and keep things running smoothly. They're often the glue that holds a business together. However, in every great business, more likely than not, the face of the company is not the integrator. It's usually the visionary. They're the big dreamer, always thinking about the future, the creative, the innovative, the idea guy or gal. Yeah, you know the type. They tend to be risk takers, looking for opportunities everywhere. And I mean it when I say everywhere. If you're curious to know which entrepreneur profile you align closest with, you can take the test through Rocket Fuel University. The test contains 40 questions that ask you to rate your agreement with each statement on a 1 to 5 scale, and each question relates to being either an integrator or a visionary. And with the results, they're going to identify whether you're an integrator or a visionary, and perhaps if you're a hybrid of both. Through this test, you'll learn your strengths strengths and weaknesses. Your personality type will dictate the types of things you'll have challenges with, as well as those that you'll find success in. We'll drop the link in the show notes so you guys can check it out. The visionary may be a little too impulsive, while the integrators may be a little too afraid to take risks. The integrator may be too conservative and systematic for change, while the visionary yearns for disruption, for the next big thing. Impatient, constantly throwing pasta at the wall to see if it'll stick, all in the name of growth. Everyone has a weakness, especially when it comes to entrepreneurial business partnerships such as these. However, that's why teamwork makes the dream work. And when integrators and visionaries figure out how to work together, epic things can and will happen. Now, you may be thinking, well, I'm an integrator, but I don't need a visionary. I can do both. Or you may be a visionary and feel a hands-on partner is unnecessary or unwanted. Maybe you're not sure which of the two you are yet, and you're afraid to let go. You may find that working in a partnership is difficult. Like every partnership or relationship, you'll have to learn to navigate conflict, such as a disagreement, maybe in decision making or budgetary allocation, product or brand development and direction. Maybe it's with marketing or growth. Whatever it is, growing pains are to be expected. You'll have to work out all the kinks. The way you choose to run your business is up to you. However, I'm here to tell you that it's very much worth exploring finding a counterpart to help maintain and grow your business. As they say, two is better than one. And let's be real. Whether you know it or not, your business needs balance, and so does your life. This partnership will have immense benefit to all aspects of your life. At this point, your business is probably your life. So bada bing, bada boom, you've got yourself a win-win-win. Batman wouldn't be able to do his work without Alfred's mastermind support, and visionaries need someone to execute their ideas and manage the details, while integrators need a visionary to provide the dream, the direction, and the innovative strategies. As I've learned what these two roles are, and I see them, in different partnerships and in different businesses, sometimes we'll start working with a business and it will be a little confusing. Like, who's the visionary here? Who's the one driving, the vision, the dream, the idea? And a lot of times they'll be like, we both are. And it's like, oh, that's not going to work, right? Like, it's really, really hard when you have two visionaries trying to come together to start a business. So taking this test, finding out who you are or what you are is going to be vital, because you may want to work with a spouse, with a friend, with a family member, or, just a partner. And as you learn who you are and what you're all about, it may actually not be the right fit. Or if you're both integrators, and so maybe you're both a little bit hesitant to take risks or jump into a new venture, you're really not going to have that elevated growth, that massive, skyrocket to the top, because you are possibly both limiting yourselves. Having that perfect balance of someone who basically wants to run and someone who can tell them, stop, right? It's a balance. And that's what's so important in those partnerships, is having two people who really complement one another instead of two that are the same or the same over here. It's really, really tough to make that work in that way. Hey, it's Isabel. Thanks for listening to the Young Boss podcast. I recently wrote a book called Young Boss, and it's filled with top tips I've learned over the years on how to survive and thrive in business. Pre-order your copy now by heading to the link in the podcast description. Now, back to the show. In the episode Tools I Love, I talked about some helpful tools that I use as a young boss and a business leader. One of my favorite tools is called the Predictive Index. I've mentioned it before, I'll mention it again. We call it the PI test for short. Check out that episode to learn more about that test. But anyways, in addition to the visionary or integrator test from Rocket Fuel, you can layer on the PI test to expand your results and dive even deeper into personality traits and how that affects collaboration. When you're taking the PI test, you may find out that, hey, you're both mavericks, you're both visionaries. And it's like, okay, this is probably not going to work. And that's okay. You can still be friends and you can still bounce ideas off one another, but we can't have two people who are absolutely wanting to be number one and wanting their dream and their vision to come to life. It works when your visions match, but what happens when they don't? And that's where you run into trouble. So maybe you'll discover that you're an extremely analytical visionary who's good with numbers, but you may be awful with communication, right? And maybe you'll need to enhance your communication by outsourcing to someone else in your company who excels at media or public relations, as well as written and visual communications. Knowing yourself is so important. Using these two tools in, collaboration will provide clarity on where you can supplement your skills within your business and who you probably need to bring on. I really, truly can't even tell you which one I love better, because in most of my masterminds, I'm dealing with people who are visionaries. I'm dealing with the CEOs. I'm dealing with, my friends who run their own businesses and do their own things. And they're so fun because they're just the type of people who throw around ideas like crazy. But to me, sometimes throwing around the ideas without bringing them to fruition can start to get maybe a little annoying. And when I hang out with all my integrators and they're all about, well, how do we turn it into a process? How do we turn it into a system? And they can't always catch the vision. It's like, come on, catch the vision. So there's pros and cons to both of them. And that's why you really have to find someone who balances you and works in tandem well with you, because you don't want someone who's all gas, but really never can bring anything to the table. We all have a friend like that who has 5,000 ideas, but they've never done anything. And then we have other people who just always are, implementing things and wanting to say, no, that's too much. No, that's too expensive. No, I don't see how it'll work. You have to have that balance. And so finding your perfect integrator to your visionary or your perfect visionary to your integrator is a whole nother key to it. Now that you know if you're either a visionary or an integrator, and I just told you how critical it is for a business to find both, it's so important to learn how to work together. So, how do you find your perfect counterpart in business? Well, integrators and visionaries cross paths more often than you may think. Visionaries may find themselves stumbling across integrators during outside projects, personal endeavors, or non-business related ventures. You just have to know what you're looking for. As a solopreneur, you're going to have to get out of your little home office, because the only way to connect and collaborate and create a partnership is to socialize and engage with your community and embrace networking. If you've already built your corporate structure, your search may be slightly different, but that's mainly due to access and scale. Regardless of where you are in your journey, attend industry events, networking conferences, and other corporate sponsored events. Honestly, visionaries and integrators tend to gravitate towards each other because visionaries share their creative ideas and integrators appreciate the ideas and see the practical steps to make them a reality. You can get them really excited when you share with them your idea. It's a beautiful partnership. Now that we've discussed these two partners and how to find them, you may be wondering, how do you keep the partnership strong? Visionaries and integrators are very different. They think different, they behave different, they speak different. So how do they stay on the same wavelength and not get lost in translation as different minds are thinking in different ways? Well, it all comes down to clear communication. Visionaries need to articulate their vision as clearly as possible. I know that's not easy. While integrators need to actively listen and ask questions to ensure that they can comprehend the nuances. It's a two-way street. You're literally trying to take an idea from someone's mind and put it on paper, put it into real life. So you have to really work with one another. Be open to the questions, let them ask you them, and then also, on the other hand, ask the questions. It's a two-way street. Both roles have to put effort into making sure that they're on the same page. In an interesting article by the Harvard Business Review, they dropped some serious knowledge about dealing with different skills and work styles. Listen closely. By pulling your opposites closer, having them collaborate on small projects, and then take on bigger ones, if it's working out, you can create complementary partnerships on your own teams. It's also important to pull your own opposite closer to you to balance your tendencies as a leader. This is really about generating productive friction. To me, I think productive friction is exactly what the relationship between the visionary and integrator is all about, right? If everybody was the same, nothing would actually ever happen, right? We have to have those questions to say, will this work? How much is this going to cost us? Hey, this is going to disrupt this. And I know some of my visionaries listening, because most young bosses are going to be visionaries, right? You're going to be thinking, I skip my meetings with my integrator. I hate working with them. They're always telling me no. They're always trying to say something's too expensive. It's not going to work, this, that, and the other. They are there to help you. They are there to protect you. At the end of the day, you're the boss. You can make whatever decision you want. But most of the time I find that friction that I have with my integrator when she tells me something is off or not going to work, if I don't heed her advice, she's usually right, because I'm guns a-blazing. I'm going ahead. I'm going to make it happen no matter what. And she's seeing all the red flags and all the things that could go wrong. And if I don't have someone protecting me in that way, it's really not going to work, right? So we have to have that balance. Remember, at the end of the day, it's about being hot, honest, open, and transparent. It's all about striking a balance. Recognizing and appreciating your partner's differences is vital to a fruitful partnership and collaboration. So you've found your match. You're now executing the perfect balance between dreamer and executor. And as we just discussed, maintaining and growing this relationship is essential for the success of the business. It's not a one-time thing, it's a journey. Withstanding the test and impact of time is paramount. To my visionaries listening, continue to dream big and always include your integrators in the plans. Be considerate of their practical thinking style and because you feel like they're shutting you down. Include them into your plans by thinking, where or how do they fit? How, do I make this easier for them to understand? How can I make my idea crystal clear to them? How can I implement the advice that they offered me last time? And to my integrators, help translate those ideas into practical milestones. Together, you'll make magic happen. If you appreciate the creativity in your partner and consider your visionary, by thinking all these questions like, how can I enhance this idea? How can I build and strategize this into a long-term plan? How can I motivate and invigorate my visionary if this does fail, right? Being kind to one another and respecting each other's differences is vital. Now, as the business continues to evolve, maintaining strong communication with each other will help keep the relationship strong and will prevent loose ends and misalignment. Over-communicate if you must. Just never leave your ride or die in the dark. You got to be together. So, what do you think of the dynamic dance of integrators and visionaries in the arena of business? It's a true partnership where opposites actually do attract. We explored the characteristics of integrators and visionaries and how they complement each other and the essential roles they play in building successful businesses. But remember, it's not just about finding your counterpart. It's about nurturing and sustaining that partnership for the long haul. You can identify your strengths and weaknesses, find the perfect partner to complement your skills, and build your dream team by using some of the tools and tests we discussed. The road to success has its ups and downs, but with the right partner by your side, you can achieve your business goals and your lifestyle dreams. As the saying goes, 2 heads are better than 1. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Young Boss Podcast with me, Isabel Garino. Be sure to like, share, and follow on Instagram and TikTok, and let me know, are you an integrator or a visionary? Remember, your youth is your power.